Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. As you may have seen on my Instagram, I've started working at the OSCE, that's the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, about 2 weeks ago. And this video is a day in my life working at the OSCE. So if you're into this kind of thing, if you find it interesting, then make sure to leave a like and let's get right into the vlog. Every morning I have to make sure I don't forget my badge because this is what's getting me into the building. And let's go. It's a very beautiful day today, and after some walking and an underground ride, I'm here now. And yeah, I really love coming here because it's a really nice area of the city. 3 years into making videos and I'm still awkward when people see me filming. The OSCE comprises 3 dimensions: the security dimension, the economic and environmental dimension, and the human dimension. I'm mostly covering the economic and environmental dimension, which includes texts on strengthening cooperation to address the challenges of climate change and advancing women's economic empowerment. Today, delegations negotiated on the text about climate change. The purpose of these negotiations, led this year by the Swedish chairpersonship, is to find consensus before the Ministerial Council happening in December, where these texts should be adopted by the foreign ministers of the participating states. Hi guys, it's now lunchtime. I'm out of the drafting session. It was quite a long one. It was a drafting session on a declaration on dialogue and cooperation for the protection of the environment. It was quite interesting. It lasted from 9:30 to about 1:30. I'm now on my way back home. I'm gonna have lunch because the second meeting is online and it's the EU coordination meeting. Hi, so I'm now back home after an entire morning at the OSCE. The drafting sessions are very lengthy and slow and difficult negotiations based on various texts. There are usually about 20 texts, 20 declarations to be negotiated before the ministerial conference, which brings together all the foreign ministers of the member countries, of the participating states, as they're called at the OSCE, and the delegations of the participating states negotiate these texts before they are signed by the ministers at the end of the year. In about 10 minutes, I'm attending my second OSCE event today, which is the EU delegation coordination. So at the OSCE, the EU speaks as a homogeneous body. So for this reason, all of the member states of the EU have to coordinate in these online meetings before each drafting session. These drafting sessions include documents on the protection of the environment, on resilience in times of climate change, and on women economic empowerment. So now I've just got a bit of time left to prepare for the EU coordination meeting. I rarely make content suggestions because I'm just an intern, but I'm just trying to be helpful sometimes when it comes to phrasing or more practical, technical issues. During the drafting sessions, because Slovenia is speaking on behalf of the EU now, because they have the EU presidency at the moment, we're actually coordinating during the drafting session on a WhatsApp group, which is very fun because you can see all the present delegations from the EU dropping comments into the WhatsApp chat. And then you see the Slovenian delegation incorporating that into their next intervention on the text. It's very interesting, and that group feels a bit more friendly. It's a place where I also feel more comfortable intervening if I've got an idea on or an argument on some part of the text. Alright, so I'd better prepare for this EU coordination meeting. It runs from 4:30 to about 6, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. Hi, so the EU coordination meeting is done. The text on climate change, so resilience in times of climate change, has been discussed. So this is also a declaration that is being drafted for the Ministerial Council. Based on the way in which the other delegations responded to each paragraph, they decide which things to leave in and which things to leave out, and what to fight for and what not to fight for. Because sometimes, of course, you have to find a compromise, and you might want to have a particular word included several times in a text. Other delegations don't want that, so you have to see which paragraphs you can let go and where you can you want to actually fight to have those references in. Topics that are really important now when in the economic and environmental dimension, which I am covering because that's what my supervisor at the Romanian mission is covering. By the way, I am actually registered or employed as an intern at the Romanian mission to the OSCE, and I'm covering the economic and environmental dimension. So some important topics in the economic and environmental dimension right now are linking the environment and climate change to security and turning it into a security threat. So in political science you would call that the securitization of an issue, which makes it instantly to the fore of discussions because it makes it a lot more important. It's important for our own security, which means survival and peace and well-being. Some countries are more willing to do that than others. Also, some other pain points are related to gender equality and references to inclusivity and gender-responsive policies and budgeting, which, as in most other cases, some countries are more willing to include than others. Alright, so it's now 6:20. The meeting has run a little bit late, like any meeting and event at the OSCE, because you have to finish going through the text. There's nothing else you can do. You have to finish your job. And I actually really like this about the organization, that they don't just leave stuff for next time because time is up. You know, they're actually committed to finding solutions to those texts. Usually after I work an entire day at the OSCE, I'm quite tired in the evening. What I really like to do is at least take a break, and going to the gym is by far the best thing I can do to feel like I'm taking a break, and I really need that physical activity, especially after a day of sitting down. So I'm now preparing to go to the gym, but I wanted to end this video with a consideration of the meaningfulness of the work of the OSCE, because looking at it from the outside, it might seem like their work is not having any practical consequences because it's an institution based on consensus, but the declarations that are being signed do not have legally binding character. Compared to national law, where there is an authority which can enforce the laws that the parliament passes, in international law there is no such authority. This means that even if you pass a document, even if it is signed, there's no one there to punish you if you don't respect that law. Yes, there are sanctions that other countries can impose on you if you go against what you declared and what you signed, but that is not always effective, and in many cases in history it's been proven that sanctions are not very effective. You might wonder, why then are those people spending so much time negotiating on these texts? They don't really have any effect. But it's not really the case that they don't have any effect. Actually, this need to preserve your image in front of the international community is quite a big factor in diplomacy and in international relations. Countries are interested in being perceived as a partner which you can rely on, and it's good from an economic perspective, but it also builds a certain kind of diplomatic capital which you can think of as soft power. And sometimes the countries which you might think would care the least about these things, they actually care the most about them. Also, what is being written and negotiated here through dialogue platforms like the OSCE is both a reflection of and the source of a particular kind of discourse in world politics and in the national politics of each participating state. These discourses that are built through the dialogue between diplomats then enter the discourse of national politics, and in national politics these become debates in parliament and ultimately laws that are enforceable nationally. So there's a kind of domino effect or butterfly effect that these top-level discussions between diplomats and ministers at these conferences and within these organizations have, that lead to actual tangible policy. The delegations of each country or bloc of countries like the EU of course, have national agendas to fulfill, so sometimes the delegates must report back to the capital, and the capitals come back with an answer, and there is a communication there as well. The capital is represented by the government, so these organizations are not that remote from the lawmaking and law enforcing entities and power structures from the participating states. What is more, these declarations not only have paragraphs that refer to general commitments, they also have practical suggestions for the participating states. So after the general commitments are stating and the basis on which those commitments are made, like previous declarations, there is a section of OPs, which are the actual tangible suggestions of measures to take in order to strengthen dialogue, to protect the environment, or foster resilience in times of climate change, or to empower women economically. So all in all, my work here is quite rewarding, I would say, and I'm very glad and grateful that I have this chance to see from the inside how such an organization works. Working inside the Hofburg, the royal palace in the heart of Vienna, is of course a very elegant working environment, but to me it seems that the people working there as delegates of the various missions are in fact loving their jobs, and those negotiations and the informal negotiations on the corridors are actually quite fun. Especially if you are a bit of a language nerd like I am, then it's even more fun because sometimes they fight about the meaning of a particular word, and they make the others explain what they mean by using those words, and it's really a painstaking text creation process. The task of these delegations is to produce a text which is acceptable to all sides so that it can be accepted during the Ministerial Council through consensus, which means that all of the participating states have to agree to the text, otherwise it's not adopted. And it has to wait until next year for another round of negotiations. Some texts are being negotiated for years before they can be adopted. Alright, I'm done with my rant about how fun it is to work at the OSCE and how meaningful the work there is. Alright, I'm now off to the gym. Today is Coord day. I've signed a declaration with myself for the mitigation of back pain. Funny, right? On my way and at the gym, I really love listening to podcasts or the latest issue of The Economist or audiobooks. This way, while I'm doing physical exercise, I can also do some intellectual exercise and think about different stuff that I'm not thinking about while working. So by going to the gym, I'm not only changing my physical space, but also my mental space. That is absolutely refreshing. So I'll check back in with you when my abs will be dead and I'll be absolutely drenched in sweat.
Hope you enjoyed this vlog. Give it a like if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in my next one.